process of increasing in size. A feature that is both individual, intrinsic, and throughout nature.
This is going to be so interesting, you know.
This is the moment we have been waiting for.
I'm feeling it now.
What has come before is now consigned to the history books. This new decade brings new challenges, new rivals, falling giants, and new beginnings.
Bang, bang, bang! 3 shots to the heart.
Oh,
at the back end. Oh, no!
Those who are climbing will meet. Who will fall by the wayside, and who will embody growth.
There's still wheel to wheel!
That is unbelievable!
League of Europe, grow or fade.
So how is it going, everyone? Welcome to the League of Europe. We are here for round 7 of the PC tier. As I said, we are here for Canada. It's one of my personal favourite tracks for this evening. My name is Jay Cole, in case you guys don't know me by now. Usually doing the comms, as always, for the PC side. At the moment, on my OBS, it says that there's a few frames that are a bit droppy. So if the stream is lagging at any point, just make sure to let me know in the chat and I'll try and see if I can sort the issue out. But as I said, you can see the calendar on your screens right now. As I said, we are here for round 7 around the Canadian Grand Prix, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And at the moment, everyone is just sort of doing on their outlaps as we speak. But I will get straight into the qualifying session for all of you guys very shortly. I do just want to take a quick look at the standings for you as well, just so you get an idea of who is where. Just do bear with me 1 second. As I said, I think just where with the frame drops of what's going on the stream, it's a bit difficult for it to all sort of run together, but there we go. So this is what is showing at the moment for you guys, so you know exactly who and who is where. So to start off with, Mr. Anchor, of course, taking the win last weekend once again. He's only been stopped once just by Onyx, who unfortunately isn't racing tonight either, but he is currently sitting in first with a whopping 39 points over Syke, or Jake, or Wills, as he's now known in the game. He's sitting in P2. Literally, you can just see how many P2s he's had in comparison. But yeah, so he's sitting in P2, as I said. In P3 is Dylan Warren. He is 37 points behind Syke. Again, a massive gap between the top 3. Hopefully, he is back here this evening as well, so hopefully he can maybe make it up a little bit more. Dan sitting in 4th with 63 points, literally just 2 behind Warren, so anything could happen. It could possibly be a bit of a change. You never know. As I said, you never know. In P5, you have got Coop Janssen, who is unfortunately not here tonight, but he's almost a race win behind Dan, so he's going to have a bit of catching up to do. In 6th is the other McLaren of Vallejo. He is on 31 points. E2 is in 7th with 27. Black Panther and Onyx are tied on 26. However, Black Panther, I think, has had to move to a reserve spot because just to do with other commitments. In 10th is Bree in the Mercedes. He's on 17 points. Bones in 11th with 12 points. V5 and Gilzo both tied on 11 points. Gilzo, another one, I think that's had to unfortunately move to a reserve just due to a few CPU issues on his end. Groundsy, or Sven, is in 14th. He is sitting on a nice 10 points. 15th is Frey, who is unfortunately not here tonight. Exy is in 16th, picking up his first set of points at Baku. A decent points position for him as well. I think he was in P8. Graham is in 17th with 5 points as well, tied with Exy. Itendu is in 18th with 2 points, and then our still non-points finishers are both of the Ferraris of WF Gaming and O'Hardy. With WF Gaming not being here tonight, it gives O'Hardy actually an opportunity, because he is here tonight, to try and get the first set of points for the Prancing Horse team of the Ferrari. So let's see if they will be able to get that done for them. And then for the constructors points, in case you guys are interested in it, as you can see, Alfa Romeo are at the top. They're sitting on 149 points. Williams are in second on 124, with Aston Martin, Red Bull in third with 105. McLaren in fourth with 94. And then it's a massive gap between McLaren and Racing Point, as they are split by 50 points, but they are sitting in fifth. Renault are in sixth with 37. Haas in 7th with 29, Mercedes in 8th with 28, the AlphaTauris in 9th with 17, and then Ferrari still yet to pick up any set of points, unfortunately, this evening. But let's get this underway, and we shall move over to Canada. At the moment, Mr. Anker is the one sitting on pole with a 8.2. Warren is in second at the moment with an 8.3 as well. E2, he had a pretty good, pretty impressive race last weekend. I think it was up until he ended up hitting the wall or something happened to him. But hopefully we will see a bit more from him tonight. But he is sitting in third at the moment with Dan or Ling in fourth. In fifth is Bree. At the moment, he's done a 109.2. There's only 4 guys at the moment that are in the 8s. Sven is in Graham is in 6th at the moment with a 9.7. Sven in 7th with a 10.0. Greenpoint, who is actually a new reserve, which is good to see. He is sitting in 8th at the moment with a 10.2. O'Hardy in 9th with a 10.6. And we are on board with Vallejo. And you know what? We're going to sit on board with him just whilst we are already with him. And I will let you guys enjoy the lap. So there we go. That is the McLaren of Vallejo that has just done his lap time. He has gone and done a 109.9. Maybe about a second off of his teammate, but still not too bad nonetheless. There are only 14 drivers here tonight, unfortunately. As I said, a few guys having to pull out of the league for several reasons, whether that would be a few issues with their PC or a few issues, other commitments that they've had to do. But nonetheless, that isn't going to stop us. Now we're just running on board with the Brit of Bag of Bones. It must have just paused it really quickly. I just had to close something because I'm not too sure what's going on with my OBS at the moment. It's just acting up at the moment, but I suppose it is what it is. But as I said, right on board with the AlphaTauri, he's just making his way around the hairpin as we speak. As you can see, the little mini map down at the bottom right, a few guys just getting ready to do or get ready to set up their laps. At the moment as well, there's another one that's actually just up ahead of him, which is Jake or Wills. He's unfortunately just invalidated at the final corner, so he is going to be kicking himself for that. But Dan has come across the line and done an 8.4. Wills or Jake would have come and done a 8.1, so that would have put him on pole. Bones did invalidate as well. He done a 10.20, so that would have put him up ahead of O'Hardy in P11. V5, I believe, is the only other one that's about to sort of finish a lap, so we'll sit on board with V5 for now and just wait for him to make his way up towards the line. There is a Haas just coming across the line. That was E2, I think it was, or E10. Going up into P8, I'm not too sure, but Bree just trying to give as much slipstream as he can to his teammate, has completely cut the first part of the chicane and has unfortunately invalidated his lap. What would that time have been anyway? It would have been a 9.2, so it would have been just up ahead of his teammate as well. So, unfortunate for V5, but I suppose that's the way it usually goes. Who else can we go on board with? Where's Warren? In fact, he is up on his time only by a little bit, but nonetheless, he's just making his way up towards the second DRS straight now. Is the Red Bull driver as he's making his way down the back straight now. We'll sit on board with him as he just makes his way around the final chicane now. It's not invalid, so he's managed to keep it on the track and now up towards the line. What is Warren going to do as a time? Is it going to put him on pole? It has. He has done an 8.2 at the moment, but Mr. Anker is on a lap and he's making his way down the back straight and he's actually 2 tenths up on his time as well. So let's have a look. What is the Finn going to do? That's in the championship lead. He's taken that taking that last chicane very nicely. It's in the 7s. It's a 7.9. So he goes on to pole as we speak. Bree making his way around the final chicane now as well. It's going to be in the 9s again, I believe. only just, but it is a 9.0, so he has improved on his time. However, it's not moved him up a place, but it's going to make it harder for the likes of Graham and Sven to try and move the way up. However, there are a few guys at the moment that are just in the pits waiting. 3 guys still have yet to make any sort of time on the board, but I'm sure we will see them make, we will see them set a time very shortly. But Vallejo at the moment, he is the one that's on an outlap. He's probably going to be the first one to make his way up to the line and get another lap done, unless he does invalidate, of course, which hopefully for him he doesn't. But anyone that's new to the stream, in case you guys are wondering, it's the top 12 that will score points. In qualifying, of course, it's normally still just the top 10 that will have to get, or will get their like fresh set of tyres that they choose. But the top 12 in the race, they will get points. And also, if there is anyone that's in the stream that is wanting to join the LOE PC tier, then feel free to drop a message as well in the stream chat, and I'll probably take a look at it after the stream and reach out to yourselves as well if you did still want to join the league. But at the moment, we're sitting in the present moment. We're watching Vallejo. He is just on his second flying lap now. A 9.9 was his best time, so let's see what he is able to do. Making his way around the first chicane, taking that very nicely actually as well. Going to sit on board with him as he reaches the end of sector 1 at 19.2, which is 2 tenths off on his time, so not too bad for the Finn, as he does take the the third chicane, shall I say, onto the second DRS straight now, up towards the bridge. Probably one of the smaller DRS straights, other than maybe the one in Zandvoort, but nonetheless, he is making this is a very good lap time so far as he makes his way up towards the hairpin. 4 tenths up on his time. I know he can do a bit better than what he is at the moment, so let's see where he is going to end up finishing at the end of this lap. He's just got to make sure he doesn't invalidate that final chicane. I know it's very easy for people to to invalidate there. It's also very easy for people to get damage at the Wall of Champions, so hopefully he doesn't do that. Takes the final chicane quite nicely as well, as he now makes his way up towards the line. Is he in the 8s? He does just miss out, but he does move himself up into P6, so he does go up ahead of Sven and Graham. However, Itendu has unfortunately invalidated his lap. Wills, or Jake, is the next one to make his way up to the line. Is it going to be in contention with the likes of Dan, Warren and Mr. Anchor? It is. He sets himself into P2, a 108.1 for the Brits so far, as I think it was Greenpoint just making his way up towards the line. He's gone up in the P11, just up ahead of Itendu. Graham is just starting a lap as we speak. The other Haas, in fact, sorry, it is Itendu that's making his way up towards the line, but he's not on a lap. Bag of Bones up to the line. He does a 9.2 as well, so very close in the midfield. From E2 all the way down to Bones, even to the likes of Graham as well as Sven. He's on a set of mediums and going to do a lap on a set of the mediums, so we'll keep our eye out for him to see how he's going to be doing towards the end of his lap, and maybe if it's going to be improvement from his 109.7. But Graham, the Brit in the Racing Point, we'll keep an eye out on him and see how he does at the end of the lap. He is only 300ths up on his lap, but I know it's that final chicane which can make all the difference, and especially that hairpin as well. It can make a massive difference. So let's have a look. Graham now DRS wide open for him, making his way down the back straight of the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve does get his stop quite nicely. Took that last chicane very nicely as well as he makes his way up towards the line. Is he going to be in the 8s in any contention? No, he's not. He does only just improve on his time, though. I thought it would have been a bit quicker than that, but a 9.3 for the Brit. Sven, he's making his way up to the line. In fact, he's making his way up towards the pit lane, so he decides to straggle his way into the pits. 3 minutes left to go of the session, and we shall wait and see if he does manage to improve on his lap time, and we'll see as well if any of those other guys, the likes of Wills, Warren, Dan, if they end up maybe beating their times to get in contention with our current championship leader of Mr. Anchor. As I said, if anyone is wanting to join the league, they are more than welcome to just message on the stream chat. Of course, we've got 8 viewers at the moment, so welcome to everyone. But hopefully we can get a few more guys in here. I know 14 is a little bit of a poor turnout for us lot. I said just a few commitments and a few issues that obviously a few other people are having as well, which just makes it a bit unfortunate. So was Ryan on board with E2? Of course, he's had to bail on his lap, but this is one that we can look on board with. It is going to be Brie. He did have a bit of an impressive qualifying last weekend, so we'll see where he does qualify this weekend. Just making his way around the third chicane. He is 2 tenths up on his time, so we'll put him ahead of E2, put him in P5. And I've heard from the Maltese man that he can get in the middle 8s, maybe even towards the low end of the 8s. So let's have a look as he makes his way up towards the hairpin now. Is he going to be... He's actually 4 tenths up on his time, so this could actually be in contention with Dan, depending on how he does at the end of his lap. As we've got Danny in the chat just saying, let's go Team URL, so supporting Sven. Of course, Coop not being here tonight as well, the other Racing Point and the other URL member, I believe he is. But Brie now up towards the final chicane, takes that very nicely as well, getting a very nice exit. What is Brie going to be doing as a time? Is this a low 8? It is. Well, it's not a low 8, it's an 8.6. But very good time from the Maltese man. And we'll see if any of those other guys that are just outside of the top 10 or in the 9s at the moment are going to be able to beat it. V5, unfortunately, has retired from the session, so no other lap time for the Brit at all. E10 is also retired from the session in the pits. E2 as well, retiring from the session, as Sven absolutely smacks the wall on his lap. So I don't think he's going to be able to go out and do another lap. So Sven, the best he's going to get is that 109.7 in P11. Is anyone else going to be able to challenge that? Bones goes up into P8. Sorry, he was already in P8. He's just starting a lap. O'Hardy unfortunately invalidated at that final corner and is not going to be able to get another lap done. Greenpoint is on a lap at the moment as we speak, so we'll keep an eye out on the Brit to see where he does, as Mr. Anchor does retire from the session. He has done the best that he possibly could. I only just realised, sorry, he's done a 7.8 and Jake has done a 7.9. So those two guys chucking it into the 7s. Is Warren going to be able to keep in contention with it as he makes his way up to the line? In fact, he's starting a lap, so we'll keep an eye on the Brit and see where he goes. Dan, he is not going to be improving, so it really is on Warren to see if he can maybe split those two VSR lads, the BDG team versus the VSR team. I feel like this is becoming a bit of a common theme between these guys as well. Bones isn't going to be improving on his time, but however, Graham will be, as Warren, he didn't improve on his time either. So it's all down to Graham, as Greenpoint has also made his way into the pits. Bones, he's invalidated his time, so it is all on the Racing Point. We'll see if he's able to get into towards that top 5, because sitting in P9 at the moment, I know it's not particularly good, but O'Hardy's AI is costed him that, and he may want to send that into the stewards afterwards, because that's not particularly fair on Graham. But that is all she wrote for qualifying, and it is Mr. Anchor once again chucking it on pole with Jake. Very close, but it's not close enough. As you can see, Mr. Anchor chucking it on pole with Wills or Jake in P2. Warren is in 3rd, 4 tenths separating those two VSR lads with him. Yeah, he's actually just said in the chat that he's bottled a lap whilst he was 0.4 seconds up, so that would have put him on pole. And he does say that it is an awkward track. I must admit, for some it is quite an awkward track. But as said, Warren in P3, Dan in P4, Brie in 5th, E2 in 6th, with Vallejo in 7th, Bones putting it in 8th, Graham in 9th, E10 rounding out the top 10. I think it's his first top 10 for qualifying. Sven is in 11th, with O'Hardy in 12th, Greenpoint in 13th, and V5 the only one not to set any sort of lap time, and he's going to be starting at the back of the grid. As said, there's only 14 drivers tonight, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how everyone is going to be doing come towards the middle of the race. I forgot to also mention, whilst you can see it is grey clouds, I was speaking to Bree, Dan and V5 before the race. It is going to be wet weather at the end of the race, so maybe the guys that are outside of the top 10 are probably going to try and go for the hards to when it rains. If they manage it, they could be well within a good shout of a good result, but it's whether they'll take the hards or whether they'll take the mediums and try and do a two-stop in the entire race. I don't know. We'll see. It might even be the case where it's rain, but it's not heavy enough to be changed over to like inters or wet tires or anything like that. But again, we should wait and see. Rain's the last 2 icons. Okay, so it could be the case that it will be intermediate weathers, maybe in the last 4 to 3 laps of the race. Then, if it's just the last 2 icons. Let's have a look. What have they gone on, the ones outside of the top 10? They've all decided to go on a set of mediums. So, very, very interesting indeed. But everyone wants to get their predictions in the chat who they think will be in the top 3. Me personally, I think the top 3 is probably going to be what it is at the moment. It might shift around. However, I feel like the top 3, it's going to be Mr. Anchor, Wills and Warren. Unfortunately, of course, Sonic's not being here tonight either. I think he said he was doing some sort of practice for PSGL with him being in like a title fight for it. So, wish him the best of luck. Because I know he'd be another one that would be up here with all of these guys as well. But let's see who's going to probably get the best drive off of the line and who is going to be excelling. And I don't mean that as a pun. Well, I kind of did mean that as a pun because of Dan, but we'll see who's going to sort of surge it off the line. But in case you guys are also wondering for strategies, it is really sort of like a 2-stop strategy. Mainly soft to medium medium or soft medium soft, or I think I've seen that you can do a soft hard soft or something like that, but we shall keep our eye out on that. Barry saying good luck Jake, let's get the win tonight. Warren's also celebrating it, but 5 red lights are out, and it is away that we go. Jake did get a very good start in comparison to Mr. Anchor, trying to go around the outside in towards turn 1. Mr. Anchor does have to cut the corner, but Jake is now into the lead of the race, and Warren also trying and look to go down the inside. Doesn't get to go down the inside. So the top 2 have changed, and I believe Bones and Itendu also changed positions as well. I don't know what happened at the start, but Itendu got an absolute lightning start. He didn't even say that he cut he jumped it or anything, but Graham and Sven both side by side going through the third chicane, as Sven trying to go on the inside of Graham, which has cost him a lot of time, but you can see in the back as well, Greenpoint not able to get past the Ferrari, and Graham and Bones now just trying to go side by side now in towards the fourth chicane. Bones has had to cut the entire chicane, come back on track behind all of those guys. He's done it safely coming back on track, but you can already see the gap from 9th all the way down, from 8th to 9th is already 2 seconds. But at the moment, everyone sort of maintained it, other than the top 2, and of course Itendu and Bones. But Jake now does lead the Canadian Grand Prix with Mr. Anchor in P2 and Warren in 3rd, Dan in 4th. Jake having a massive slide coming out of that final corner, however. And now Mr. Anchor now trying to maybe look to go down the inside in towards turn 1. He's actually gone for it, has locked up. Jake did leave him the space, but it's no move that's going to be done, and this is just allowing Warren to keep with him. The same with Dan and E2. Of course, around Canada it can be a bit of a DRS train, as Warren already picking himself up a 3-second time penalty on the 2nd lap. So I wonder if we'll see maybe a disqualification or 2 come tonight. But at the moment, it's already looking like a few of the gaps are starting to spread as Bones is already into the pits and out of the pits. I don't know if he got any wing damage or anything like that. Very strange. But as I said, at the moment, the top three all still around sort of 8 to 9 tenths split in all three of them. Dan's starting to draw back a little bit from these guys, but he's doing well to keep up with them anyway. E2 also keeping up with Dan as much as he possibly can. With Bree as well, just keeping it in there. Vallejo in 7th, only 3 tenths just behind Bree. So we might see him move Conjurer up very shortly from there. But Jake, second fastest lap of the race so far, a 12.4 goes the Britton Williams. And he does manage to maintain the lead of the race. However, DRS is now going to be enabled. Will we see the fin of Mr. Anchor maybe try and go for a move towards the bridge section? I don't know. Let's keep our eye out on it as DRS is now wide open for him. He's actually going to try and go for a move in the bridge. Trying to go around the outside of Jake in towards the bridge. A little bit of contact between the pair of them. Still both side by side going through the chicane. This is going to allow Warren to maybe try and eye up a move on one of these two now. As I think he had to back off because of Mr. Anchor getting a bit of a lock-up. But he's very close to the back of Jake. And a little bit of a tap from Warren as well. I just didn't think he left sort of enough space. But Dan, he's now closing up to the back of these guys and maybe, just maybe, could be eyeing up a move on the likes of Warren or maybe even Mr. Anchor as Jake starting to get a little bit more away. But of course, with Mr. Anchor having DRS, it's just going to bring him straight back, or straight to the back of him, shall I say, as V5 and Greenpoint just trading positions going down the main straight. I think V5 managing to just, I think it was just really DRS, like I said earlier. It is very powerful around this track, and as you can see, he's now moved up into points position. But definitely keep our eye out on those guys that are on the mediums at the moment, the likes of Sven, Hardy and V5. The same with Greenpoint as well. Bones, unfortunately, of course, he's dropped outside of the top 10 due to making a very, very early pit stop. But Mr. Anchor already only on 30% ERS as he tended to just picked up his second time penalty of the race. But as I said, Mr. Anchor, he's already only on 40% ERS. Jake is on 84% and Warren is on 70. Dan on 50. As there are yellow flags. I'm not too sure who that was for. Was that Bree? It was Bree. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was a bit of contact or he just got too much oversteer and ended up just, well, going straight into the wall at the hairpin, unfortunately, as he tended to. A 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane, but he is one of the first ones to make his way into the pits. Of course, Bones already came in to the pits, as I'd assume that he did fix his wing, as in fact it's already raining. So I was told by Warren it's the last two icons. I mean, rain's already occurring. So he's just coming to the pits for a set of the hards, and I already think that that is the wrong idea. As I said, it's already raining. Very interesting. This kind of flips the race on its head now, because it depends if someone's a lot better in the wet than they are in the dry. I know there's a few people that are like that. It could sort of go into their favour, whether it be one of the top 4. I'm not too sure, but Mr. Anchor, he's very low on ERS in comparison to everybody else around him. He's only on 5%, Jake's on 40%, Warren's still on 60%, so he's not attacking as much as the other two guys up ahead of him are. This is all allowing him to conserve his ERS, as Mr. Anchor does set the fastest lap of the race of a 12.3, and I feel like that might actually be just the fastest lap of the race because of the rain. But as I said, Warren, he's not attacking these guys like what Mr. Anchor is to Jake. But Jake, he's still managing to preserve his ERS. He's got almost as much as what Warren has at the moment. And of course, as I said, with the rain already here, I don't know. We'll keep our eye on it as Jake, oh, very slidey on the exit. And now Mr. Anchor trying to go down the inside of Jake in towards the bridge section. Already got on that move done with that DRS help and ERS. Jake just touching the bridge wall ever so slightly. I don't know if he got any wing damage from that. But now Warren very close to the back of Jake. I think was trying to maybe look to go around the outside, but Jake did cover that off. And now Warren possibly eyeing up a move on the likes of Jake and the likes of Mr. Anchor once again. Of course, you could already see, I think the rain is starting to settle in as these guys are sliding all over the place. Dan very close to the back of Warren, as you saw a minute ago with Jake and Warren very out of shape. As Jake, in fact, the first one to go into the pits, he might try and go for a bit of an undercut, as Sven and Graham both trading positions as well. He too goes into the pits. I might keep an eye out and see who goes for what, but Graham, DRS, he hasn't actually got it, but he got a much better exit than what Sven did. As Jake, yeah, he does go on a set of the intermediates. Is Graham going to try and go for an move down the inside? No, he doesn't. He opts to stay behind the Red Bull for now, but Jake and E2, the first ones on the set of the intermediate tyres. Of course, DRS is still enabled at the moment, but it is very slippery. And I've had a few situations like this before where it's been slick tyres in the wet, which is what it's looking like it is currently. And the rain, it looks like it's starting to come down a little bit harder now. Looking at the point of view of Mr. BDG Warren as he tended yet another 3-second time penalty. If I'm not mistaken, he's got about 14 seconds of penalties already to his name. But Warren, he is keeping up with Mr. Anchor, and Mr. Anchor isn't going to have any sort of DRS. He is running very low on ERS, however, but is he going to go straight on into the pits at the end of this lap? No, he doesn't, and neither does Warren. Does Dan, though? No, so the top three have all stayed out. Warren, massive bit of oversteer at the exit. That's lost him a hell of a lot of time. And now Dan is starting to close back up once again to the back of Warren as Mr. Anchor, the first one out of the front runners, picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. Of course, in this wet, it's a lot easier to cut over those curbs. And the guys that are on the mediums, actually, now that I've just thought about it, they could be at a little bit of an advantage. With these guys being on a set of softs, of course, with it being a bit of a slidey track as well, already doing 7 laps on these softs, they are going to be struggling like mad on these softs, because not only because of it being wet, but also their tyre wear. 7 laps on these softs, knowing from experience, these run out by about lap 6, lap 7 as well. So these guys are going to be struggling majorly as there are yellow flags. It is once again, I think it is Bree having another spin, and it is at the second chicane, oh, sorry, the third chicane this time, unfortunately, for the Maltese. Did he get himself any wing damage? I can't see any. I don't know if it was any on the left end plate though. I don't think it was. So I think Bree has come away from that damageless. But O'Hardy, he's eyeing up a move on Graham. This is where we could be seeing him going in towards the top 6. Graham, he's just not going to try and fight it. O'Hardy straight down the inside of the Racing Point, getting that move done easily for the Ferrari. It has to back off very much though, going through that chicane. And now V5 also trying to go for a move down on Graham. DRS is wide open for the Brit. Already getting that move done in towards turn 1. Easily done for V5. And that's him now up into P7. And maybe, just maybe, going to try and close up to the back of O'Hardy. I feel like we've been in a bit of a situation before with this man right here on your screen. Hopefully history doesn't repeat itself. I think a few of the OGs may know what I'm talking about, but hopefully history does not repeat itself. But O'Hardy, bit of a moment coming out of that third chicane now. DRS wide open for V5 as Itendu and Jake just trading positions, interestingly enough. So I don't think it was Inter's weather yet. I think Jake might have gone very early for it. He's losing a boatload of time to the guys up ahead. And if we have a look at the deltas between the leader, 34.5 seconds is Jake behind Mr. Anchor. And you can see how much Jake is struggling in comparison to, well, Itendu, who's already bolted off 2.5 seconds up the road on a set of the hards. But V5, he is closing up to the back of Hardy. Hardy getting a bit of an oversteer on the exit, but he has kept it as Bones has also now just gotten past Jake as well. But V5 still not able to get any sort of move done on O'Hardy. He has dropped Graham though by 1.5 seconds, and you can see now the effect of what the mediums are having in comparison to the soft Sven. He's caught up to the back, or he's catching up to the back of Vallejo. He was 4 seconds about 2 laps ago, but it's now 2.5 seconds. But this battle that we're on board with, I don't think we're going to be able to stop watching this, and maybe we could switch over to the one behind us just before. But O'Hardy, I think he's had to give up that place. He had a bit of an oversteer exit, and that's now V5 into P6. I don't know why there was yellow flags, but Jake, he goes back on a set of mediums, and it's gone from, well, it started off very well for Jake. It's now gone absolutely terrible for him, as he's now down in last place, essentially. As Warren, he goes into the pits. Is he going on a set of dries, or is he going on a set of wet tyres, maybe? He's going on dries, so he's going on a set of mediums, so he knows that it's not wet enough for him to go on any sort of intermediates or any sort of wet tyres either. But this battle that we've got going here for P7, Graham and Greenpoint very close to the back of each other, as Warren comes out behind that battle as well, as Breed goes in, makes his way into the pits, and V5 getting himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As I said, I suspect because there's the amount of chicanes that are in this, we're going to be seeing a lot of people getting themselves some penalties around this circuit. Otendo, as I said, has already got about 14 seconds to his name. But Greenpoint and Graham both just changing. As I speak about Otendo, he gets himself yet another 3-second time penalty. So that's now 17 seconds to his name, as Warren, he's want to try to clear these two ASAP, but with these two battling, it's going to be a bit of a task for him. He may get a bit of a better exit than what these guys are, though, as well. As Warren touching the curb ever so slightly, he did send him in a little bit of an oversteer, but going past Graham already before the DRS is wide open. He's going to have DRS on Greenpoint, but not close enough to get any sort of move done, as Mr. Anchor into the pits, trying to counteract to what Warren has done. I know the undercut around here can be very, very wise to do. And let's have a look. Warren, he's got the DRS on Greenpoint. Is Greenpoint going to try and go defensive? He does, but Warren already swooping around the outside of him. Where is Mr. Anchor in all of this? Warren now just coming around the first turn. He is now in your net race lead. Is the Red Bull of Mr. BDG Warren, and he was saying before this race that he didn't think he was going to be up there with the guy with the VSR guys, as Otendo was actually out of the race. It's a virtual safety car. In fact, Otendo's binned it on the start-finish straight. I'm going to look on board with Brie and see where this car is. It's on the right-hand side. Don't know how that's come about, but unfortunately for Otendo, he was just saying before the race as well that he wanted to try and maximise the amount of points that he could get. And unfortunately, he's the first one that's retired from the session. So very unfortunate for the Frenchman, but hopefully he can get himself, or he can maybe try and redeem himself next week at Austria. But there you go, we go racing once again. DRS is enabled once again as well. And Warren, you can see the gap he's already made up from Greenpoint. And now Mr. Anchor trying to go past his, I suppose, not current teammate, but his reserve teammate, shall I say. Getting the move done already down the inside in towards turn 1. I don't think Greenpoint was going to try and fight that too hard, as Graham makes his way into the pits and out of the pits as well. And is he coming out ahead of Bones? As Bones is just making his way up towards the first corner. Graham's just making his way out of the pit lane. He is up ahead of Bones. I think Bones is going to see that as well, so I think Bones isn't going to be too happy with that. Of course, him being on the set of the mediums at the moment, he's going to be praying that it switches over to inters soon, so then he wouldn't have actually done too bad of a strategy. But the two McLarens, they are the ones that are currently leading the race. 4 seconds up ahead is Dan from his teammate, and I wonder if Dan's maybe going to come into the pits right about now, or if he's maybe thinking of keeping on the softs until it goes to intermediate weather. He's staying out. Whereas Sven, look how close he is to the back of his teammate now. Sven only 4 tenths behind Vallejo. But no sort of move done, so the McLarens, they do stay 1-2 for now. And I think what the two McLarens are actually hoping for is maybe like some sort of safety car or a virtual safety car once again, so they can maybe come in. But I think they're about to get absolutely railed by the guys that are on the set of the mediums, as Warren getting a move done on O'Hardy. I think that was around the outside of turn 4. If he did do that, that would be a very good move for Warren. As Jake comes into the pits, 5-second stop go for speed in the pit lane, and he has unfortunately retired from the session. As I said, it went from bad to worse for Jake, and he is not going to be picking himself up any points at all. So E2, well, if everyone finishes, they will get themselves some points, but E2 is the one that is currently the final finisher. Sitting down in P12, not exactly where the Finn would want to be. Sven going past Vallejo down the back straight. Is V5 maybe going to be trying to look out for a bit of a move going in towards it? No, he does not. But Dan and Vallejo, they have both stayed out as V5 now going past the back of Vallejo. Is V5 maybe going to try and eye up a move on Sven whilst he's at it? No, he does not. He does just get the move done on Vallejo. And V5 and Sven now in P2 and P3. They are really hoping, and so is Dan, that it does turn into intermediate weather soon, because then that would have boosted them up massively. As Sven, little bit of oversteer going through turn 4 and turn 5, and now Warren is all over the back of him, maybe trying to go around the outside of V5 in towards turn 6 even. He's got the move done on the Brit, and now it's a bit of a battle between the two Red Bulls. To Sven, I don't think he's going to try and fight it too much. Warren, he's on the much fresher tyres compared to everybody else, already swooping past. And now Mr. Anchor as well, as he's trying to catch up to the back of Warren, goes down the inside of V5 in towards one of many chicanes, as Sven and Mr. Anchor also going side by side. But Sven didn't want to put too much of a fight because he knows it's not his race that he's in. The one that he is primarily battling is V5 and Vallejo, and possibly Dan. But Warren now, look how close he is to the back of Dan, as Dan still not yet is yet to make any sort of pit stop. And now Warren, with a pit stop over him, he's already gotten past, as Dan, yeah, it was a smart thing to do. He goes into the pits. I think he's going on a set of the mediums. He's realised that is probably the best thing for him to do. As V5 swooping around the outside, I really need to come off of the T-cams more, but getting the move done on Sven is now in a P3. As in fact, Dan trying a bit of a bold move as Vallejo, massive bit of oversteer out of turn 3. As O'Hardy picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, it's looking like it is starting to become inters where they're a bit more Dan. He's gone for a bit of a bold strategy on the inters, as Greenpoint as well. He actually goes on a set of the hards. So let's have a look and see if this strategy does pay off for Dan. As if not, we could be seeing a new podium sitter. But Dan, he looks like he's just losing a bit of time to those guys up ahead of him. As O'Hardy closing up to the back of Vallejo and still not able to get any sort of move done. As here we go, O'Hardy now trying to go around the outside of Vallejo. On the back straight, he's got the move done already. Vallejo, he's not going to try and fight it. I believe Vallejo may even try and come in this lap. He will. So the Finn into the pits, of course, replicating what his teammate is. I think those tyres, you can just see how much wear they've got on them. Just the front and the back. He had to come into the pits. It was obvious. But Dan closing up to the back of Graham. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Graham actually overtook Dan. And you can see how much time he is losing out to him, as well as Vallejo comes in for a set of intermediates as well. And I don't think it's actually going to work for both of the McLarens. Dan's already dropped out, but 1.2 seconds behind him. So I don't think it is intermediates weather. And I feel like the two McLarens have gone on the wrong strategy. I was just watching on board with this battle for the lead here. Warren, Mr. Anchor. 5 seconds up the road from V5 in third. Just keep an eye on the Finn. He has got DRS wide open for, on Warren, and the rain is starting to chuck it down a little bit harder now, but I still don't think it is intermediate weather. Looking at the deltas between Dan and Graham, as Bones picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as well. However, Warren very close to the back. Sorry, Mr. Anchor very close to the back of Warren, but no sort of move is going to be done as V5 makes his way into the pits. He goes on another set of medium tyres, so this could be very smart for the Mercedes, as O'Hardy also comes in and chucks on a set of medium tyres as well. But where's Graham going to come out in relation to all of these guys? There's Graham going along up towards turn 1. Is V5 up ahead of Graham? He is, and it's not by much. But V5, well, if it stays the way it is at the moment, he is well on for a good podium position. I really hope I have not jinxed it. But you can just see how much V5 is already catching up to the back of Sven. It was about 13.5 seconds he was out of the pits. It's now already dropped down to 11.8 seconds. And that gap is just depreciating constantly as Mr. Anchor now very close to the back of Warren. This is where we're going to see a bit of a lead change, I believe. Warren trying to cover off the inside in towards turn 1. Mr. Anchor trying to go around the outside. He will have the inside towards turn 2. So is Warren going to be able to hold it? A little bit of contact between the pair of them. And Mr. Anchor has spun Warren are both into each other. I don't know if Warren got any sort of wing damage from that. It doesn't look as if he did, but it was good battling between the pair of them until they had that bit of contact as Sven into the pits. And you can see V5 has already gone past him. And Graham as well. I think Sven is going to come up behind Graham. Oh, in fact, Sven's actually gone very wide out of the exit of the pit lane, and he's now even dropped back behind O'Hardy. He would have been ahead of him if he had managed to get out of the pit lane properly. And now Bones very close to the back of the two McLarens. Bones wants to try and get past these two ASAP because these two, they're going to be holding them up. And you can see Bones already getting a much better traction in comparison to Vallejo. And now DRS wide open for the AlphaTauri. Is Vallejo going to try and stick it around the outside? He is, but I don't think Vallejo is going to have any sort of luck with it as Bones move done into P8 now. Dan up the road from him as well. This is a very bad result for the McLarens, and Dave just pointing out bad lap for the Red Bulls. It is indeed. Sven coming out of the pits, not able to get past O'Hardy when he would have been up ahead of him. And then also Warren and Mr. Anchor, of course, trading places. But V5, it's a bit of a, I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a surprise podium for him. He's doing very well. We've got Sean in the chat as well, cheering on for V5. And Bones very close to the back of Dan, as Dan on these intermediates, as I said, I think it was the wrong call. You can see how much he's already dropped back behind Graham when he was ahead of Graham coming out of the pits. I think Dan is really hoping that he switches to Inters ASAP, so then he doesn't need to make any sort of other stop and potentially look to try and jump all the other guys. But 10 seconds being behind Sven, he's at least 36 seconds behind the leaders. In fact, let's have a look. 38, that was close. But Sven close to the back of O'Hardy, and in fact we may potentially see some sort of lead change. In fact, no, we do not, as Vallejo getting past Bree. Bree getting past Vallejo, my mistake, the other way around. As Bones still not able to find a way past Dan, and in fact Bones into the wall. I don't know if he just broke his wing from that. I think he has. I mean, yeah, you can see the front right just sticking in the wall. So Bones, it was going so well for him, and I think he's more, well, to be fair, he's taken those mediums out 18 laps, so he's probably going to make his way into the pits and get them changed. But it would have been a good result for Bones had he managed to carry on with those mediums. But to be fair, I think his pit stop was coming soon anyway, whether it would have been this lap or whether it would have been the next lap. It just means he's also going to have to get his wing changed whilst he is at it. But this battle here for P5, not slowing down anytime soon, as O'Hardy just trying his best to keep up ahead of Sven. As I said, this will be Ferrari's first points finish in this league. And O'Hardy, what a better way to do it than to sit into P5. I was just looking up and down the field as well. Warren, he's out of that DRS range from Mr. Anchor. He still does have the DRS because he got it on the back straight, but he's on the cusp of losing that out to him. Sven, it just doesn't seem to me that he can get the traction off of the hairpin as Bones round once again, and it's about to be lapped as Sven is also into the wall. Not what he would have wanted, and he's already gone past the pit lane as well. He's going to lose out a massive amount of time to O'Hardy, especially also with being slicks in the rain. He's going to be locking up almost constantly. So Sven, that's put a hamper on his race as well. That's going to promote Dan back into P6 and Greenpoint on his debut. He's just sitting behind, and I'm doing commentator's curse here. I've just gone on board with Greenpoint. He's gone round at turn 2. Tell you what, let's switch back to the leaders. As Warren, he's only on 4% ERS. Well, he's obviously getting that back from the final chicane, but he is still within DRS of Mr. Anchor, and he looked like he got a much better exit out of that final chicane as well in comparison to the Finn. Warren really trying to put a bit of a mark to Mr. Anchor and trying to get any way past him that he can. As he 3-second time penalty once again for the Finn. As O'Hardy, look how close he is now to the back of Graham. Graham is actually in for a very good result as well. Currently sitting in P4. As Sven into the pits. I don't know if he's going to go on a set of the intermediates or if he's going to go on a set of the softs. He's going on a set of the softs. But O'Hardy closing up to the back of Graham. Of course, V5, he must be having a bit of a boring race at the moment. He's 7 seconds up ahead of Graham, but 20 seconds behind the 2 leaders. But I don't think V5 is going to mind where his position is at the moment. He's probably going to just try and take it a bit nice and slow. As once again, another battle for the lead of the race. Mr. Anchor and Warren. Warren this time around, he is a bit closer than what he was last time. And he looks like, once again, he gets the better exit off of that final chicane. As he does just have to stay behind our current championship leader for now, as Greenpoint makes his way out of the pits on a set of intermediate tyres as well. As Bree, 3-second time penalty for him. One thing to note that I completely forgot about is Mr. Anchor has also got himself a 3-second time penalty. Warren doesn't. So if Warren just keeps it clean, doesn't cut any chicanes, just keeps 3 seconds distance between him and Mr. Anchor, then Warren's won the race. But this is a massive opportunity for someone else in the midfield as well, especially with Jake being out of the race, Dan messing up his strategy. It is an easy opportunity for one of the midfield guys to make their way in towards the pits. As E2 going into the pits and got a 5-second stop go for speeding. As Bree is also into the pits as well. Is this where we're seeing intermediates? As Bree's gone on them. Has E2? No, he hasn't. He's gone on a set of mediums. As Sven just charges past the both of them on his soft tyres. I'm starting to think Bree has made a bit of a wrong choice with going on a set of the intermediates, but I think this is mainly just information for V5. As the top 2, look at where they are, very close together, but still not able to get any sort of move done now. O'Hardy for P5, even for P4, sorry. Can he close up to the back of Graham and maybe look to go for a move in towards turn 1 as Bones picks himself up a 3-second time penalty? But I don't think O'Hardy is close enough. He isn't, as Graham picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as well. If I'm not mistaken, O'Hardy also had a 3-second time penalty. So I think things could possibly heat up towards the end of this race. Of course, if it does end up going in towards intermediates, as O'Hardy very late braking in towards turn 1 and just fighting that car as much as he can. That's allowed Graham to build up that gap already. You can see already 1 second. So O'Hardy not in that DRS. I think he's just trying his best to make sure he keeps it on the road as Dan comes into the pits for another set of intermediates. As in fact, O'Hardy picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as well. I might have to quickly have a look, although we have still got this battle going on for the lead of the race as Warren closing up. You can see how much he is gaining on the straight in comparison to his rival of Mr. Anchor, but not close enough to getting any sort of move done, and he doesn't look like he got the exit that he needed out of that final chicane. I think he broke just a little bit too late and compromised his run. But you can see how much he is just closing up to the back of him every single time on each lap. I think it just looks like from Sector 2, he just gets a much better run out of Sector 2, does Mr. Anchor, and then Warren catches it back up in 1 and 3 because of the straights that occur, of course, in the lap. But these two, they don't know they're giving up anytime soon. And do you know what? Let's have a look. I never look at the penalties, but we're doing it today. So, Mr. Anchor, 1 penalty, 1 warning off. Warren. In fact, I didn't realise he has 2 penalties. So Warren really needs to actually get up ahead of Mr. Anchor and potentially try and get some sort of move done, as V5 also has 2 penalties. I think I'm going to quickly cut back on board because look how close Warren is now to the back of Mr. Anchor. I don't think, once again, any sort of move is going to be done on this straight. However, in towards turn 1, is he going to get the better exit? No, he does not. Once again, it's completely compromised again from Mr. Anchor. As you can see, Dan just coming out of the pits. He was battling with these guys. Sorry, no, that's Vallejo. My apologies. As there are yellows. In fact, it's Green Point. He's coming out of the pits and unfortunately retired from the race. So, top 11 now will be getting themselves at least 2 points. And the one with the fastest lap at the moment, as I said, I think it was Mr. Anchor that set the fastest lap. It was, so he will be getting that fastest lap no matter what because of the rain out. It's just whether Warren is going to be able to get any sort of move done on his rival. As I think these guys really are just waiting for it to turn into intermediate weather before they make their way into the pits again. As I think is V5, but look at how much they're both struggling going through the hairpin. As I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Anchor, did he get DRS off Bree? He didn't. I thought he might have done. But let's have a look. Warren this time around. It was much better from him. It was a lot better from him this time. And look, he's closing up to the back of him. But again, not close enough. He does brake quite late, but it's still not close enough. But I think Warren is now finding his stride and what he needs to do to get past Mr. Anchor come towards the end of the lap. But these mediums, they are starting to wear like crazy for the both of them. But another one I want to keep an eye out on is O'Hardy and Graham. And in fact, as I was just going on board with him, O'Hardy making a bit of a mess at the final chicane, unfortunately for him. I thought he was maybe eyeing up a move on Graham, as I saw it was only about 2 tenths, but no sort of move is done as of yet between the pair of them. Top 2 still sort of remaining as it is at the moment. Bones, once again, unfortunately going for a bit of a carousel at the 3rd chicane. But let's have a look. Let's carry on. So V5, I think I saw, had 2 penalties. He did. Graham, 1 penalty, 2 penalties. O'Hardy, 1 penalty, 2 penalties. E2, 2 penalties and a 5-second stop go. Sven, just a 1 penalty. Dan, 1 penalty. Bree, 1 penalty. Vallejo, 2 penalties. Bones, I think it was 2 penalties as well. Yeah. So pretty much the whole grid have either got like 1 or 2 penalties. Other than, I think it was the Haas of E2 who's got 2 penalties and a 5-second stop go. As in fact, O'Hardy comes into the pits Now, is he chucking on a set of intermediates? No, he's not. He's chucking on a set of the softs. As you can really see, these two are struggling like mad. So you've just seen Warren getting a bit of an oversteer moment coming out of the 4th chicane, I believe that is. Oh, sorry, going into the 4th chicane, and Mr. Anger getting a massive wobble out of the 4th chicane. So these mediums, they are really going off for these two guys. And let's just see if one of them does make their way into the pits this lap. Is Warren going to come in because of course he's on 18 lap old mediums? No. Warren stays out. Are they reckoning they can take maybe these mediums to the end of the race? Do a soft medium strategy? That'd be very interesting if they do. If they manage it, then fair play to them. That's all I can say, fair play to them. But V5, he's now going to try and counteract what Hardy has done. Graham, is he going to be making his way into the pits as well? No, he doesn't. Because Graham, I believe, started on a set of the softs. He might, just might, try and take these mediums to the end of the race. Let me just double check actually. Did Graham start on a set of mediums? No, he did start on a set of softs, so he's going to try and take these to he may try and take these to the end. But V5 on those set of softs, literally only 5 seconds behind Graham. He could possibly close that gap up come the end of the race, but again, we'll wait and see, as V5 looks like he's been very well, he's kept it very well on the track, and he hasn't put a fault wrong whatsoever, but it is these two that are still battling up ahead. Warren, again, still not close to getting any sort of move done on Mr. Anker. I think really what Warren is hoping is Mr. Anker picks himself up another penalty, or another 2 penalties in these final closing stages of Canadian Grand Prix. As they're now coming up to the back of who Warren was battling. I kind of gave it away. It was Mr. Excelling or Dan. Yeah, V5, another 3-second time penalty, so this may hamper him a bit as Mr. Anker, has he disconnected? He's got a red X above his name for me. Oh, it's just a bit of lag. Yeah, the AI car is disconnecting for me. And it looks like it is for Warren as well as Mr. Anker. He has disconnected. That's actually put a shock in it, Mr. Oh, no. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm going to see if I can get him in ASAP, but I think Mr. Anker's hopes, he needs to try and stay within that 3 seconds. So Mr. Anker, he needs to join back ASAP and try and stay within 3 seconds of Warren. He's back in, and Warren, he really needs to get that gap now. He's already got it to 1.6. He needs to do as much as he can to get that gap up and up and up and up. It's 2.1. I'm going to keep our eye on that a bit later on, but we can see here now this is going to be another battle for the final podium position. V5, look how close he is to the back of Graham now. Graham, don't know if he's going to stand any sort of chance, especially with him being on the mediums and V5 being on the set of the softs. Trying to maybe go side by side in towards the final chicane. V5 was thinking about it, but I had to give it up as Graham picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Now, here we go. V5, he's got a DRS once again on the racing point. Graham going defensive. No, he doesn't. He moves back onto the racing line. Maintains 3rd position. But Graham picking up that another penalty now. That's 3 penalties for Graham. 3 penalties for V5. So they've really got it all to do on track. As O'Hardy, I think with him having 1 or 2 penalties as well, there's nothing that he's going to be able to do. But Mr. Anker is now back in his car. And there's a bit of there's a few times that are glitched at the moment. So I'm not going to be able to even have a look at how far Mr. Anker is from Warren, as now V5 trying to go around the outside, coming up towards the bridge of Graham. Yeah, Graham's just had to give that up. That's now the final podium position. So V5 is now into P3, and this could be a first podium for the Brit, as there we go. There's the gap between the pair of them. 3.4 seconds. Mr. Anker needs to make up 6/10 without cutting any sort of corners, because if I'm not mistaken, he had 2 warnings. I'll have another double check. He does. He's got 2 warnings, so he needs to try and do it without cutting any other corners. Oh, that was definitely a bum clenching moment for him, as he has had the biggest bit of oversteer, but he's caught up to Back and Warren. 3.1 seconds now between the pair of them. This is where it gets interesting towards the end of the race. These two, it's come to a dramatic end as V5. He's still up in 3rd place at the moment. 1.4 seconds separates him and Graham. But O'Hardy is now starting to catch up to the back of the pair of them. I'm going to need to quickly double check. What was the gap between... Oh, how many penalties did O'Hardy have? He had 2. So O'Hardy really needs to try and close in to get 3 seconds behind, as there are more yellows. Is that Bree? I think that is Bree. As V5 had another bit of a moment, but Warren, he might have just been gifted, as Mr. Anchor, 3.4 seconds, sorry, separates them. He really needs to do all he can, and I think whoever that McLaren was, that was Dan, who he was battling with earlier on. I think Dan gave him DRS. But I'm going to stick on board of this battle. It's for first. It really is only with 3 attempts separating them. Look how close it is. It's only 0.03 of a second separating first and second. Oh, this is going to come right down to the final lap. Mr. Anchor really needs to get a push on, but so does Warren if he wants to win his first race in the League of Europe. Let's have a look. It's literally on the cusp of 3 seconds. Warren, he's going to need to do all he can. He's only got 1% of ERS left. Mr. Anchor has 0. And Warren, he's going to need to just... He's going to need to absolutely blitz it. So, the gap between them now, 2.9 seconds. Looks like Mr. Anchor got a much better exit out of that final corner. Now, here we go, the final lap of the race. Of course, 3-second penalty for Warren. Or sorry, 6 seconds of penalties. Mr. Anchor only has 3. And it's still so close between the both of them. 2.8 seconds is separating them. At this rate, Mr. Anchor is going to win the race. But Warren, he really needs to get a move on. It's just hovering between around sort of 2.8 to 3.1 seconds, and now Mr. Anchor, he's starting to close up that gap, although it's still hovering around 2.8. I'm literally just looking at the timing screen. I'm not looking at anything else. It's 2.7 now. As Mr. Anchor, I feel like he's done enough as Warren. A bit of an oversteer moment, and Warren is round. It was really what Warren wanted. It was coming for him. He got gifted it. Mr. Anchor, he'd done a valiant effort of bringing it back in. Coming back into the session ASAP. For Warren, he is going to be fuming about that. And I can already see it. Mr. Anchor, 1 more corner left to go. He's done it. 23 laps on the mediums. Mr. Anchor comes across the line to win at Canada, and that is his 6th win of the season. This man, he was so close to being stopped. Warren, it was an absolute valiant effort. 12.7 seconds separated them. Did actually Mr. Anchor pick up another penalty then? Because Warren only had 2 penalties. No, he didn't. But that was the end result, and V5, he has done it. V5, he comes home to finish in P3. He does pick himself up a podium. Graham, he will come home. He will finish 4th. Is that enough for O'Hardy? O'Hardy does jump him. He gets his first set of points for the Ferraris. He does come home to finish in P6 after all that had happened. Vallejo, he does finish up ahead of Bree in P10. As Bones just comes up towards the line. That is P11 for the Brit. It's still points nonetheless, as now we just wait for Sven and for Dan to come across the line. But that was an absolute change at the end. That was just something I was not expecting. That's Dan. There you go, across the line. Finishing in P8. I think that's his worst result so far, but that was an absolute crazy end to the race, I must admit. And V5 driver of the day, I feel like that is well deserved already. But there you go. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Warren had it. I really thought he did. But once again, this man, he cannot be stopped. I really thought Jake would have had it as well at the beginning of the race. He put on the intermediate tyres. He thought that they were the best tyres. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off for him. He tried going on a set of dries and he knew that he was not going to be close enough to any of those guys. But look how many penalties that is. That is all she wrote for the Canadian Grand Prix, and what a hectic one that was. Mr. Anchor does take the win, with Warren finishing in P2, V5, as I said, picking up his first podium position in League of Europe. I think that's as a whole. Finishing in P3, O'Harley does come home to finish in P4, his first set of points for the Ferrari gang, and what a result that is for him. Graham does finish in P5, E2 in 6th, with Sven in 7th. Dan disappointing in 8th position. I know he is going to be fuming about that. Vallejo does finish 9th with Brie in the top 10. Bones does finish in P11, picking up the final set of points, as Greenpoint, Jake and Itendu all DNF from the race. Unfortunate for those guys, but that is the Canadian Grand Prix. Everybody, thank you very much for watching and tuning in. I hope you guys did enjoy that at end of the race. That was absolutely hectic. Make sure you guys do tune in tomorrow, 6:40 PM UK time, for Division 1, Division 3 and Division 4, and Division 2 and Division 5 at 8 PM UK time. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next week for the Austrian Grand Prix.